Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. I'm Steve,
Now, Marty.
and we do this podcast usually every week. We missed a week last week. Marty and I were sick, and I was running around the island down here, so once we couldn't do it on Wednesday, so because neither one of us had much of a voice, so between that and running around, we weren't able to reschedule before then. So sorry about having the week off, but we got some stuff to give away today to make up for that. So we're want to be a little bit better. We got a little consolation prize thanks to the guys over at Atria Hydroponics in Oklahoma or Kansas, I think it is Kansas, and realgrowers.com with giving out some recharge this week. I want to thank them as well. We have a whole bunch to go over this week. And a whole bunch of different video stuff to talk about. Marty, why don't you go first, since yours is you have why don't you go first?
Yeah, for me, I don't really have a lot going on. Like I said, I've pretty much just been sick, and then when I wasn't sick, catching up on the stuff that I have to do at work. I did feel better the last few days, and so over the weekend I built a chicken coop for our baby chickens that we put out, so that was kind of fun to do with the kids. It's pretty easy too. It really wasn't much to it, about maybe $100 or so. Have a nice little like 3-foot by 8-foot chicken coop, and yeah, other than that, not too much going on with me. Getting ready to set up the outdoor now that I'm done with the whole chicken coop thing. So my plan is to I can run 10 plants in flower at pretty much any time, based on where I live and what my zoning is, compared to last year when I could run up to, I think, 48 plants at this same address. So legislation has definitely sort of screwed me in a major way. And that's even with my $1,500 permit, which I now have to have if I want to grow outdoors here. Not to mention, I also have to have 7-foot tall fences in order to do that. Or no, sorry, I have to have 8-foot tall fences. But since I live in Jackson County, if I want to build anything over a 7-foot tall fence, I have to have a permit, which requires plans from an engineer. So that's would even cost even more money. So that's all sort of in the balance right now. But what I'm doing right now is I can veg as many plants as I want to, inside, outside, wherever I want. The only limitations in flower. So for right now, I'm going to start all my plants like I'm going to proceed with an outdoor, and then run my 10 flowering plants inside. So they will be done by the time the outside ones start flowering, so I can sort of just bounce back and forth. So that's kind of what I'm getting set up right now. I did get some new seeds in. I have some Platinum Girl Scout cookie, which is going to be kind of fun to grow because I grew the Platinum Delight, which was Platinum Girl Scout cookie crossed with Blue Power. So I'm excited for that. So thank you, Aaron, by the way, who sent me the seed swap on those. He also sent me something called, what is it? I should have brought him. Jack Hacker, I think is what it's called. I don't know if you've heard of that. I assume it's some sort of Jack Hare cross. But anyway, Jack Hacker and Strawberry Bubba are the 3 that I'll probably be doing a little fun little pheno hunt on. And I'm going to sprout all those in the aquaponics system and do a little pheno hunt and record that. So I'll have that going in the garage pretty soon. I'll have the outdoor going pretty soon. So that's kind of my update. I haven't really posted anything because I've just been out of commission. But we'll definitely get some more videos up. And I think probably next I'll do, when I build the fish tank outside and put the liner in it, I'm going to build a relatively low profile but long bed that I'll be able to build over the top of, and line it with that same liner that I showed you guys before that I got from Global Plastics. They sent me. It's kind of just to get some exposure on their product and use it in some of my projects. I used it in that front porch system that I posted videos about, and I really like it. And that's going good too. I got I think a number of different starts going in there. really. I think I have watermelon, cantaloupe, and so I'm using it to sprout a bunch of seeds that I'm also putting in my back garden eventually. So that's kind of a nice way to be able to start some seeds, even if you have a soil garden. Aquaponics is great for that. And I just drop them in with the media, and usually within about 5 to 7 days, you see them pop up. So I do the same thing with cannabis seeds. I have no issue doing that. I think I still have a 100% germination rate by just dropping them right in hydrogen. And yeah, so that's pretty much all on my updates on that stuff. I'll get a video up on the front porch system, but I've got a ton of stuff in that, and a bunch of seed starts, and I got some raspberries already ate the first strawberry. It came through, so that's always exciting for the kids. And yeah, fun times. And again, the spider mites on strawberry plants rings true every time I get them from a store. And this time was the same way. And so I checked them out, made sure and treated them. But seriously, I don't know how, but it doesn't affect the strawberry plant. Like, it doesn't kill the plant when they live on it in the same way. Like, for whatever reason, like, they just seem fine with it. I don't know if you've had that experience or not. Oh, Steve's got to go. Yeah, but other than that, I got raspberries. I got a blueberry plant that I'm trying to resurrect in the aquaponics system that I sort of abused last year, and it seems to be coming back to life. So that's pretty fun. What else do we put in there? Oh, we put in beets. We put in some rainbow carrots, and a lot of those will get transferred and out to the backyard, and some of them will stay there.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. So yeah, that's pretty much my stuff. Not really too much going on other than like just trying to navigate all the regulations and get things tried to set up in order to follow them the best I can. So right now I'll have 10 plants inside at least, and hopefully I'll be able to do 10 plants outside once that comes around, even if I end up having to pay, you know, $1,500 or whatever it is to be able to do it. Hopefully, you know, by then I should have a pretty good indication of whether or not it's going to, you know, be worth it or whatever else. So, and we'll see where the landscape is. The county's still getting sued, and all those regulations may get thrown out the window. So we'll see how that goes. And shout out again to Right to Grow USA Facebook group. They're the ones who are supporting a large number of us here in Southern Oregon and different parts of Oregon where other counties are doing the same thing, and have completely footed the bill for that lawsuit. They had a really cool setup where they took in donations of flour, and they had a big event where everybody came together and rolled a bunch of joints and took them around to local dispensaries, and all the dispensaries sold them, and all the proceeds went towards funding Right to Grow lawsuit. So that was kind of a neat way to be able to do that. And a bunch of people got together, and I think they rolled some like 800 joints or something like that in one day, dispersed them out. And so that was pretty cool. And I believe they're going to do that event again. But go ahead and check on the Right to Grow USA Facebook group. You know, donate to them, check out one of our events. Good times.
Awesome. Well, I actually had a chance to go hang out with some of our, so we've been getting everything set up and licensed and looking at different areas and talking with different people that we have connections with here and people that have family and stuff here. And stuff's finally coming together and everything. I've got to go up and look at some of the space that we'll be able to grow in later on once all of our licensing goes through, and see some of the skills that some of our growers are capable of doing before everything gets through here, and just see some of their, well, they weren't the ones that they run, but they're some of their cousins, and show some of the skills that they have and how great that they can run it. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. We got to see fields and fields and fields of herb. I got some videos up on my channel if y'all want to see just acreage and acreage of cannabis. It's pretty amazing. I have some more videos. The first field, well, I had to walk past about 12 fields before I could take out my camera, which is why I'm like just delirious by the time I hit that first field that I could pull my camera out at. We just wanted to be respectful of making sure we weren't hurting anybody or anything that's got stuff going on already. So um, they were kind enough to let us take some footage there. So I had to, make sure that we were respectful. So, but yeah, we got a bunch of footage from a camp in the middle of nowhere up in the hills, and of a bunch of Sensimilia. Finally got to see some of the Jamaican landrace, the real pink and purple hair. And so instead of orange or red hairs, all this stuff is neon pink and purple and everything in between, violet, purple, and some of the stuff I saw yesterday, I can't begin to tell you how good it tastes. But yeah, it was quite an experience of a lifetime, and to see just acres and acres and acres of herb was incredible. I really can't tell you.
To like check out any of the or get to talk to them about like what kind of nutrients they give their plants.
Yeah, so they do. They actually keep a couple of cows up there and a couple of goats and all that, and they basically, in between harvests, once they harvest out, they save up all the manure every day and they put it in a little pile, and then they put it out on the field when they're ready, after they harvest, and then they till it all in. They mix it in with their hose, and then they mix in a little bit of iron-rich soil, a little bit of they make their own, it's kind of like a compost tea. They take a little bit of goat milk and a little bit of sweet sop, or not sweet sop, sour sop, if it's that time of year, and a couple of different fruits, and they mix it in with a little bit of sugarcane molasses and water, and they put it in like a 55-gallon drum for like a month, and then they let it sit there and brew up, and then they put that on right before they put the stuff in the ground.
It's like a fruit fermentation, then, basically.
Yeah, more like a lacto than a more of like a lactobacillus, like a labs, than it would be like a what you call it, compost tea. Sorry,
Right.
I'm a little bit stoned. I've been smoking high grade like all day for the last day and a half. So I'm like,
nice.
But yeah, so that's what I spent the first part of this week doing, was running around the hills of Westmoreland. That's why we were gonna try and do one yesterday, but I got a chance to go back out to the farm when they said one of our farmers was gonna let us shoot the field. I had to go back out because I've been able to see a bunch of this stuff so far, but I haven't been able to get permission to film. And it was nice yesterday to finally get permission to film one of them and show you guys what I've been doing a little bit, running around making sure we can get all the stuff lined up so that once all the licensing goes through, we can hire all these guys that are already super good at it. We can adapt them down. Part of a big section of our farm will end up being, there's going to be aquaponics. Part of it will end up being just soil stuff, for export as well. But the bulk of it will end up being, aquaponic down part of the hill, but just getting to see what they're capable of and what they can do, and what techniques they've been exposed to versus haven't. The only criticism I could have made the whole day was that some of the how they dry it, the drying procedure could be improved, but that's about the only thing. They could, and then they're not doing anything from clone. Everything's from seed. They have a little breeding patch, and they breed everything out there, but then in their main fields they pull all the males, so that your stuff isn't completely seed free, but it's maybe 5 to 20 seeds per stalk, per plant maybe. So it's not too bad. You're not getting that many seeds, so the THC level is much higher than most of the other growers. By far the best growers I've seen. We've been to a couple different grows so far, and that was by far the best quality we've seen the whole trip. And just these guys, their skill level and knowledge was much above the rest, and they're real good family members of someone we know down here that's going to be working with us. So it worked out real well to where we were able to meet them and talk to them, and get that all set up, and yeah, a whole bunch of things that I can't quite talk about yet, but
Well, it seems like you could do stuff too, like that, where you could incorporate in, um, like say, just having the aquaponic system on site, you'll be able to add stuff to their existing compost.
Yeah, for their breeding stock and for their mothers. So instead of them having to go back to seed stock every time, they can go plant like a, quarter of the field is this, a quarter of the field is that, a quarter or whatever, and then, we'll build out the aquaponic section and it'll be huge. But, a lot of these guys, I don't want to lug, you and I and neither of them want to lug a huge roll of liner or tanks, or that's a lot of weight worth of stuff to lug up 3 miles up into the mountains. So, um, that's why the lower part of the section will be the aquaponic, and then the upper part will be, the soil where they've been growing that way for a long time. But, it's nice to have some variety too, especially working as an export company. You need to have some diversity in your product. So not to mention, we would never be, it would take us a few years to finish fulfilling the orders for with just aquaponics only grow. Even if we started building 6 months ago, it would take us, we'd be building for years before we could satisfy the global market. And once that opens, we're going to need some additional help with exports. So as far as being able to fulfill orders.
Right, and so since they're already producing, it makes a lot more sense to just
exactly
doing by improving their
genetics.
Not
to mention help being able to help them and too,
Right, or maybe even using some of the waste from your aquaponic systems in their compost or different things like that to get some variety of nutrients.
Sorry about that. I had one of our guys got back from Kingston, so I just wanted to say hi real quick. I'm not going home. It's a long trip. So. Anyways, yeah, it was really awesome to talk to them about different grow techniques. You know what they use here for root insects, and it works really well. They pour a cane rum on the root of the plants, and it kills the root mites and the worms that attack the roots. So they'll have like a 30-gallon thing of rum on their back with like a sprayer, and they'll go down the line just like flooding out the roots of the plants that look like they got root bugs, man. It's so funny, and it works. It works. But,
Sure it does.
It's just funny seeing how the different methods they come up with. And I was talking to them a little bit about, I was teaching them about compost tea and how like the microbes, how many days you want to do it, and I kind of, he was teaching me some stuff, I was teaching them some stuff, and I got to meet with his head grower that runs about 8 of the different plots up there, and learned some stuff from him. And he had some questions for me, and showed him some pictures, and he showed me some pictures. And it was just much different than some of the other people I've met down here that were growing and stuff. These guys were and much more knowledgeable than the other people I met so far. So it was a really, really, really awesome experience. I'll have some more videos to post the next few days. So
nice. That sounds fun.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah. So it'll be really nice when it's all set.
Well, that sounds cool. You wanted to talk about some myths and misconceptions. Did you have some specifically that you ran into that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so there's a couple out there. Like some people will tell you that like the only thing you need to add to an aquaponic system is fish food, and that provides all the nutrients that your plants need. That's totally false. You need to maintain things like pH. You need to maintain certain nutrient values. You need to maintain things like iron. So that's something that you have to worry about. And it's something that you see a lot of. And there's still a few people that are out there preaching at aquaponics that. So that's the biggest things is making sure that you're adding, maintaining your pH, maintaining your iron, things like that. And there's different ways to handle it. I know like you like doing the compost teas in labs more heavily, and I like doing the more mineral nutrients, and going a little bit lighter on the labs and the compost teas. Still using them, but using them kind of as like a a booster to the nutrients. And we just disagree in that particular method, but we both get great results. But people out there that are still preaching you only need to add fish food and you can ignore everything else. That doesn't work for cannabis. It might work for some lettuce stuff for a little while, but after about 6 or 8 months, it's just straight up not going to work. So anyone that tells you that doesn't know what they're talking about. The other thing is that if you see any commercial, and I wish I could tell you guys more than this, but I can't. But if you see a commercial, why I'm going into this, if you see a commercial aquaponics company out there who has only done lettuce systems, and they tell you they know how to do cannabis, laugh at them and walk away, because right now I have a couple of them that are ending up as my customers, and yeah, so don't believe them. Go to somebody that actually knows what they're doing, because they have cost a couple of companies a whole lot of money.
Right, and I think it's important, that there's a big difference too between like
the nutrient profile,
commercial growing and on a mass level, or even not even necessarily like larger commercial, but just large systems versus small ones, and how different. Not everybody's water is the same, I guess, is what it comes down to. Like, I have well water, which we've talked about before, that has a lot of different minerals in it already. So I can get away with a lot of stuff by just basically doing a water change in a lot of different areas to make up for a lot of the stuff that you would have to add if you were starting with, say, rainwater or distilled water or city water, which has basically been stripped of everything. You don't add anything in with it. There's nothing that comes with it. Every time I add water, I get a number of different deposits that come along with it, and I have to deal with that. And whereas other people might not have to deal with certain aspects of it, like for instance, I deal with having a high pH and a large amount of calcium carbonate in my system, which sounds great, but also has its downside when there's too much of it in there. So I just have different concerns because my water is different, and that's going to be the same. If I moved somewhere else, I would have different problems to solve. So that's, I think that's one of the things that you really have to remember, is that you can't necessarily just go look online and say, look, if this person did it like that, that's going to work for me. That's not necessarily the case.
No, that's a great point, actually, on exactly what you're saying. Everyone that's growing seriously at home, take a water sample of your tap water or well water or whatever you're using as your water source, and go get an agricultural water test, so that you know what metals, what minerals, what nutrients you have in your system, so that you can balance your aquaponics water around that, because you're going to keep putting that water and those nutrients in over time, and the only export you have from that is plants or doing water changes. So if you have something like I'll give you a great example of some stuff that comes up hot once in a blue moon that I've seen in different agricultural water tests is uranium. Every once in a blue moon, you'll see uranium will be a high one in people's water sources. If you have high uranium, you're going to be needed doing water changes in your tap water, there is an acceptably high amount of radium that can be and uranium that can be in your water, but you don't want that in a closed loop system where it's building up over time. So if you have that, you're going to have to do water changes occasionally, change out 10-20% of your water to physically export that out of your system. On the other side is, you might find out you have high calcium or high iron or or phosphorus or whatever, and you're not going to have to supplement that, or you're only going to have to supplement that a tiny bit. And you can go, okay, awesome, I don't need to spend anywhere near as much. That's why getting an agricultural water test costs about $20 to $35, depending on where you live, will get you everything that you need to know about what your normal input is, what's going to build up in your system over time, and all that. So you don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Right, and so for some people who might not understand it or have not gone through it yet, or understand why a closed loop system is different, it's because when you have evaporation in every system, so what's evaporating is just the water, and what you're putting in is not just water. Like in my case, I get mineral buildup in my system because I'm putting in water that also has minerals in it. Minerals do not evaporate. So even if I add water in so that I am adding water to bring the water level back up, those minerals from the water that I put in before are still in that system. So understanding where you're starting can give you an idea, like you were saying, what's going to build up in the system. So if you're not consuming it, then it's going to build up. So if your plants don't need it and aren't using it, and you're not growing something that is going to consume it, then it's going to start building up and can cause you problems, in the same way that if you're using a lot of something, like if you don't have a lot of iron in your well water, but you're growing a ton of strawberries, then you're probably at some point going to have to supplement that at some point. So knowing where you start out will give you a great advantage in knowing what you're going to need to supplement, and
how much
from doing, you know, like if you've got, like I know I'm obviously not going to have to supplement nearly as much calcium into my system, because I already have a lot of it that comes in my well water. So, you know, if anything that I was going to add, I would probably be, you know, adding something that didn't necessarily have a lot of calcium in it already.
Sorry about that. A little bit of background noise.
That's all right.
But the other thing is too is that, you know, to making sure you know how much to supplement. You know, if you have a high available P2KO2, which would be like your phosphorus, or not P2KO2, I forget what the molecule is. Anyways, you know, or you know, XYZ, we'll just use an example. You might need to adjust your iron dosing to be half of what it is, or half of what you normally would be, because you're constantly inputting a high amount of available iron. That's why getting that tested off the bat is so important. Trying to think of any other examples. Right now I have somebody else that's having a little bit of an issue with salt. There's another one that a question I had somebody ask me lately is, how would you handle a slightly high amount of salt? First off, you got to export it. You want to make sure you do a partial water change to physically remove some of it. But the other thing you can do, if you are trying to keep the plants from getting too stressed in the meantime, is up your silica rate. When you up your silica, that really helps reduce your toxicity from the sodium. There's quite a few different published studies you can read on it in soil and hydroponics on adding and making sure your silica is at least 80 parts per million to 100 parts per million will dramatically reduce the amount of sodium stress on your plants.
Cool.
And that's one of the other, you know, questions I've seen lately. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, so that's so some of the other misconceptions is you don't need a solids filter. You know, you do need some kind of catch basin, either a bag or a media. You know, you can, if you have a real small system, you can get away with just a media bed. But if you're doing a larger system, you really do need some type of solids filter. When the USDA guidelines come down at the end of the year, if you don't have one on your system, you're not going to be allowed to sell anything out of the system to the public if you're looking to do commercial. That's another one of the ones that's commonly put out there, is you don't need solids filtration at all, especially in raft systems. You do, and the USDA is going to require it by the end of the year. So, you know.
Yeah, I think if you have a raft system, then you absolutely need one. You know, that's for sure. I mean, obviously, media beds are filtration. I mean, that's sort of what they're.
Just depends on your load. You know, if you're running like a commercial level load, you'll have too much waste. But as long as you're doing a small home system, it's no problem.
Right, and so yeah, I would say it's definitely accurate that every system, even a small one, needs some sort of solids filtration, and even. But in small systems, especially in most of the ones that I build, you know, media beds are just fine. And then you do you know, at some point I'm probably going to have to clean them out. Whether like for instance, what I do a lot of times is if I have a bed that I feel like is getting particularly clogged up, then I'll raise up the siphon so that it comes up above the level of the media, and I'll essentially flood the bed and work out and which makes it very easy to get in and just sort of stir up everything, and I'll just pump that stuff right out into like a separate barrel or something.
I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something real fast. I apologize. This is something I can't get around at the moment. So I'll be right back, guys.
Sure, no problem.
All right, I'm back. I don't know if Marty is or what had happened. I apologize for the delay there. Sorry about that. I had a little meeting I had to pop my head in. We just picked up another company in another country that's not in North America, which is pretty dope.
Cool.
Or South America. But I'm not going to. I gotta get permission to talk about them before I can mention who or where. But yeah, pretty dope. So yeah, my week just got more interesting. So yeah. So we want to talk. The other thing I was going to talk about is I had a chance to. We had a couple of writing questions this week about products. We have the first product question we had was Jumpstart Grow More Medium. And the second one, I actually had a question from somebody, and it was about the recharge, which we're actually going to give away some recharge shotgun shells, which they have. We're gonna next week. We're gonna pick somebody from the leaves a comment and likes the video here, and we're gonna make sure they get some recharge shells. Should be enough to get you a good initial spawn culture of those microbes in your system, and see how they do it. And it'll be real good. We're working on. We'll have a bigger giveaway of some recharge later in the month. But this first time we're going to give away some recharge. But recharge is a great microbe. I've actually had a chance back when I worked at Aquaponics, or Scotty over at Real Growers was kind enough to give us, I think it was like a 5-pound bucket of recharge, and we tested the crap out of it in 500-gallon systems against another a control in aquaponics, and had a real good results. Higher flower count, and no fish issues at all, and real healthy plants. And we didn't test it on cannabis at the aquaponics source because we weren't able to, but I've used it quite a bit, as well as a couple of my other aquaponic grower buddies that worked for us back in Colorado with aquaponics and soil, and everybody really loves it. Real good. Yeah, make sure you leave a comment and check out realgrowers.com if you're looking to buy more. And the other one is the Jumpstart by Grow More. Let me pull that up here. I had an interesting fruit I wanted to mention to y'all this week. I know normally we do the plant of the week. Instead, I think I want to do a fruit this week. There's this plant here called a sweet sop, or they call it a sugar apple. It looks like a hand grenade back in the US, and they're about to come into season. They're white fruit on the inside. Man, is it good. It is my absolute favorite thing in the world. So I'm here looking at this Jumpstart, and I don't see anything that particularly concerns me. I would be cautioned that you are adding a lot of vitamin B, so I don't know if I would want to use it every week, but definitely as in every other week or every third week would definitely be fine, although you do run the risk of adding a little too much vitamin B into the system, which it speeds up fish just as much as it does humans, and there's no regular export or break, it takes a while for that to break down. So I would worry about that in the system. But aside from that, I don't see anything else in the MSTS here that would overly concern me as far as that goes. And then we had a contest last week about another batch of Atria nutrients. Let me go back and hit that real quick. Did you have any other questions this week from people?
Well, somebody asked in chat about if the cannabis growing was going to require, what was it? Oh, solid filtration. You were talking about the solid filtration that's going to be required in agriculture, and so he was just asking about that. And I think Steve disconnected.
Marty?
There you are.
There you go. Sorry about that. Finally had one of our net hiccups down here that we've been kind of lucky so far this episode. I wrote that little script that reconnects it when it does this.
Nice. So yeah, if you look in the chat, somebody just asked about the solid filtration, if it was going to be required for growing cannabis, and
so what they're doing is the USDA is requiring it for all hydroponic or aquaponic production. So I don't see any reason why it wouldn't apply to cannabis production, as far as commercial scale.
Commercial, right?
Yeah, and I'm talking strictly commercial. So if you're selling to the public, I don't, if you're just growing at home, like nobody cares as far as USDA regulation. But if you're trying to sell to a dispensary, or you're trying to, sell to whatever, or you're running a commercial setup and you want to sell to the public, as a dispensary or whatever, this is stuff that, and I'm actually, I posted on, one of, I'm trying to get this fixed. I was trying to pull it up here to show you guys, and I can't get it to work. But anyways, I'm waiting for my buddy of mine to send over a copy of the USDA guideline regulations, because they seem to have pulled them down after the comment period. So I'm actually going to post them up in the aquaponic cannabis guide, or aquaponic cannabis growers Facebook, in the files section. Once he gets those over to me, I'll make sure they get up there this week. And then anyone that's curious about what the upcoming regulations will be can hop onto Facebook and download them for themselves. I know that I've been trying to get a hold of them this week myself, because I want to make sure that if and when the U.S. market opens, that we can automatically be following U.S. standards, so that I don't have to go and change my whole plumbing and a bunch of other headache that I don't want to do later. So I'd rather just, if we're going to be starting to build stuff from the ground up down here, I'm just going to build it to the standard and do it that way, rather than worrying about it. Because eventually, look, right now our main markets are going to be Canada, and for export from Jamaica are going to be Canada and Spain and another country that will be named shortly. But eventually the U.S. market's going to open up. So we got to prepare for that, or not even that, but we can say we're held to a higher standard. We're following U.S. law in regards to cleanliness and regulation and everything else, and just to have a better product.
Regardless of what you're growing on a commercial scale, you're going to need solids filtration anyway. So it's kind of
exactly.
Kind of point, I guess.
So, trying to think of what else we have.
John Resnick says, "Nice Jamaican gardens."
Oh yeah. Thanks. Yeah, well, I have some more video actually. So that was just the young fields. I have some video, some stuff that's in flower, about ready to harvest. Everything is just neon pink and purple hairs, that nice Jamaican landrace that you don't get anywhere else. So yeah, we'll have a bunch of stuff to show. I have a bunch more videos. I have at least 3 or 4 more videos of that particular field. I'm actually going to go look at one that is supposedly about 4 times as good as that one on Saturday. And I'll see about getting permission to film there. And if they let me film, they're supposed to be even better than the one that we got. It's a new company we just picked up working with, that is already working under one of the research licenses down here. So we don't have to wait for our other license, but I only found that out about half an hour ago. So I have to go, once I'm done this, go find out more about that. We have a meeting with them on Saturday. Then we have another huge meeting with another potential huge grow down here, closer to Negril next week. That once that all goes through, I'll have some pretty more exciting announcements. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's ridiculous. It's like the Wild West of weed down here right now.
It's kind of like that everywhere, I guess, is the world market really starts to open up. You saw the changes the last time they had their big global meeting. Where they specifically, I think you posted some information about it, right?
About what?
The last time that who was it? I'm drawing a blank now, on the national, or not national organization, but the global organization.
The UN. The UN met to change the export laws to allow for weed to go from country to country legally. So
right. So you're starting to see the, it's like a global tone about it. And
well, not only that, I mean,
the U.S. market, hopefully going to open up soon as well.
Not only that, I mean, look at the you have a way to finally bring a whole bunch of people that are lower income out of poverty for the first time. Jamaica could not grow enough weed to supply the global market. As far as if Europe and the U.S. and Canada legalized, there's a huge demand for Caribbean herb. Not to mention they can grow year round without lights, and climates here is good. All you gotta do is keep some mothers and veg and put your clones out to field and go. You don't even have to grow from seed, if you want to get consistency, which is what we'll get these guys going to do. Right now, they're just pulling the male. So they got the idea down in Sensimilia. You could be a little bit more efficient on it. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get there. But the fact that they can save so much money in production here that even with transport, they'll be able to easily, still have a huge piece of the global market because, aside from North Africa, where else are you going to be able to grow year round in flower? You can do it in greenhouses, but you still have to do lighting, you still have to do heating. That's thousands of dollars to the production cost, which is something they just don't have to deal with here. Maybe Mexico could kind of compete, but they have so much problems with their own, cartels and everything that it kind of gets in the way. Whereas Jamaica has some problems with crime, but it's not as bad as people, you hear sometimes people make it out to be. I've been around the whole island now. I hang out with people of all different incomes levels and classes, and it's not that bad. It's just like the United States. You stay to certain neighborhoods because they're bad. It's no different than Chicago or New York or Philadelphia or Baltimore. There's just certain areas you avoid at night. Just be mindful. Don't go wandering around waving around money with a ton of, flaunting what you got. It's, just don't be stupid, and it's no more dangerous than anywhere else. So, maybe it's slightly so.
I mean, even in Acapulco, went there for my honeymoon, and it was the same way. Some places were really nice, and most neighborhoods were at least pretty nice, and some of them were really not. So,
I'll tell you what, though, once you get away from the cities and get out into the country where the real Jamaicans are, it's so much nicer. Everyone's super nice. Couldn't help you enough. Couldn't be kind enough. Couldn't be welcoming enough. Just want to give you food and beer and weed. It's a good time. I really can't speak highly enough about how amazing the people of Jamaica are, especially the farther you get from the cities.
Nice. That sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, and once we get it all set up down here, we'll have a place for people to come down and visit and see all the different stuff that I've been seeing and learn and everything. But that won't be till probably next year sometime. But that's the plan. We're actually looking at some places down on the beach. We're looking at a property down on the south end of the island where we'll be able to have a training facility where people can come down, sit on the beach, smoke a bunch of weed, learn how to grow, swim in the ocean, dive a reef, and have a good time for like a week. Have real nice catered food and everything, seafood and everything. So that's in the works as well. So
Awesome.
It'll be dope. Yeah, teach people how to grow aquaponically rather than come into a class in the States or to sit for a weekend in some stuffy room. They'll be able to come have a nice vacation and learn at the same time, for 4 hours a day or whatever. And, maybe in the afternoon we'll go see a field up in the mountains, or we'll go out dive a reef, or we'll go for a boat ride, or, it'll be a good time.
John says that sounds like a hard life.
Oh yeah. My work. I work about 4 to 6 hours a day, half the time, at the beach or the ocean or the farms. Well, I don't know. I don't really consider being in the field of weed work. I don't count that. But as far as doing like paperwork or planning out, doing a lot of design plans, doing a lot of like figuring out what pumps we're gonna need, what electrical stuff we need, you know what I mean? Just stupid, boring stuff that doesn't really interest any of you. Which is why I haven't been posting a whole lot of video from down here, because some of stuff like yesterday that I posted is not okay to film everywhere, and just I got to be careful about that stuff too, as far as upsetting anybody, especially if we're working with.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, it's been an experience of a lifetime, and I'm about to go to 2 other countries here in the next 4 months that I'll have some new footage from Corellial that aren't the U.S. So it'll be a blast.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
And trying to think what else.
Talk about today?
The other thing I was gonna plug is we have a fest. I guess we don't have. We have the website now, but I don't have any date yet. But we have a festival we'll be doing, so definitely plan on coming down to Jamaica for 420. We'll have by then we'll have a bunch of stuff set up, and there's a festival that we're working on collaborating with some other people down in Jamaica to be a weed festival to help support Jamaica and Jamaicans and get a especially because they'll have hopefully have their retail stuff all open by 420 of next year. At least that's what we're told at the moment. So unless that changes dramatically, so it should line up real well with that. But definitely, put your plans out to come down to Jamaica for 420 next year, and we'll have a lot more cool information on that. Shout out to Atria Aquaponics for donating that. We'll anybody that leaves a comment and likes the video, we'll pick 2 people from that. One person will get the recharge. The other person will get another set of Atria aquaponic nutrients. And shout out to Keto Life for giving us some other stuff as well for our grow lab back in the States. Appreciate them. They help us out a lot once in a while when we need some stuff tested and things. And I guess that's all I have at the moment. Definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is Potent Ponics on YouTube. If you, I haven't ever mentioned this before, but I'll plug it here at the end. I have a company called Potent Ponics. I do cannabis consulting, aquaponic cannabis consulting, design, or if you're a nutrient company and you want dosing for aquaponics that are fish safe and all that, you can hit me up or my website or email me. I know Marty has a company and a YouTube channel as well. She mentioned your stuff.
Yeah, I just have the YouTube channel. It's AP Meds on YouTube. And then we have the Facebook group, Aquaponic Cannabis Growers. Look us up on there. We definitely like to post a lot of information there for everyone. And if you have any questions, obviously you can put them in the comment section below. You can ask them in the Facebook group. You can private message us. Whatever you guys need to do. Put them in the chat section right now. Appreciate John tuning in over there. And I think one other person in there, I don't remember who it was now, but I always like to have some people on live, so we appreciate those questions. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, sorry about this week being a little shorter. Just I have a bunch of stuff going on this week. We had to try and squeeze this episode in. I apologize. Hopefully next week will be a normal, longer format episode and a little less crunched up. But I do apologize for that. But we will return to a normal schedule. We're just having a little bit of growing pains here. So I appreciate everyone's patience and everyone not freaking out because we weren't on last week. So I really appreciate it. Thanks to those who were sending us emails and asking us what was going on. I think I got 5 or 6 different, hey man, when's the next episode? So I really appreciate it from everybody. Oh, shout out to Dude Grows too for hosting us. You guys can also check out all of our episodes over at the Dude Grows Show. So under Aquaponics. So thanks a lot, guys, and have a good one.
See you later.